Green flag is in the air. We're underway at Martinsville. Jeff Gordon looking for a storybook ending to the 2015 season. Out of 3 and 4, this win's going to punch his ticket to the championship 4. Gordon wins at Martinsville.
And welcome to the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. I'm your host, Tom Clark, along with co-hosts Corey Carroll and Colton Jacobs, here to bring you weekly insight on all things NASCAR, with a review of past week's races and a preview of upcoming events on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series schedule. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at TCW Speed Report. Email your questions to tcwspeedreport@gmail.com. Check out the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report Facebook page, and check us out on iTunes and SoundCloud. And I would like to welcome my co-host for this evening, Mr. Colton Jacobs.
How you feeling, Tom?
I'm feeling alive! Woo! We are reviewing now this got a long name, the Goody's Headache Relief Shot 500 at Martinsville.
You're going to need a Goody's headache relief shot after you finish partying tonight.
Yeah, well,
Jeff Gordon's going to need a couple of them, too.
Yeah, because why? Because that's right, the best driver in the world just won the race today. And I'll tell you about my close, almost fight with an older Earnhardt fan. So, and we'll get into that later.
We're missing Corey this evening.
I know, because he would play devil's advocate and make me sound like a hypocrite. And of course, this weekend we're at Martinsville Speedway, the shortest track in NASCAR at 0.526 miles. Paperclip in shape. Traditionally, we always have a truck race to go along with it. We had the truck race. Matt Crafton won.
Yeah, he started on the outside at the very end of the race. I believe it was a Green-White-Checkered, and John Hunter Nemechek was on the inside. John Hunter Nemechek drove it hard into one, got up the track a little bit into Crafton, and it slowed his momentum. And then Spencer Gallagher got to the inside and got him loose again. That was John Hunter Nemechek, allowed Crafton to get by, and they weren't able to catch him. You know,
the truck series has turned into, it's not an old man's game anymore.
No, absolutely
it used to be like the senior tour of NASCAR.
Yeah.
And even those guys are kind of slow.
But, I mean, aside from Crafton, everybody's pretty young and up and coming. And
Cole Custer, he won the pole.
Yep, he finished 4th. He had a late race penalty in the pits and dropped him back to the longest line, and he recovered.
I like Cole Custer, and there was somebody else that I liked too. He was a Cole something too, or he drove for Junior. Had a real thick Southern accent.
It was Cole Witt.
No,
that was
Cole
the other
Witt.
Cole, but that was.
It's like his first and last name rhymed.
I don't know.
He was real good though. I liked him a lot. Raced for Richard Childress Racing in the truck. He was like Austin Dillon's teammate.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
We'll get the lab rats on.
Yeah. So that's a traditional thing. Always have the truck race with the cup race. I didn't get to watch qualifying, but Joey Logano, which we'll get into later, won the pole, going for his 4th straight win and trying to punch his ticket into the final round at Homestead. Jeff Gordon starting 5th. So we had Colton, our weatherman, was concerned about the rain, and even I was after I looked at the forecast.
Yeah.
And rain was, even down here, it was a big issue. But they got the race started. It was under the green and yellow.
Yeah.
So laps were getting counted. I think it was 6 laps into it that they finally actually let them go. And,
yeah.
And then NASCAR moved the competition caution from lap 45 to lap 50 to compensate for that. Now, there was actually some pretty good jockeying for the lead at the beginning. Logano slipped back, and Truex Jr. shot up there.
Yeah, he took the lead almost immediately.
Yeah.
He was Truex and Kurt Busch and those guys were really good on the short run. Logano took a few laps for his car to come in. It took about 10, 15 laps, but then Truex would get the lead, he'd jump out for a little while, and then Logano would reel him back in, past him, and take off.
Mm-hmm.
So
and Gordon was pretty much up there the whole time. Pretty much in the top 10. Nothing too major to send him back as traditionally that has happened to Gordon. But we had our first caution was.
It was a fairly big. Well, I wouldn't say a fairly big wreck. I think Danica was part of it, but it was Greg Biffle. But they both wrecked on their own. So Biffle had a problem all day. He spun out 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And it was just each time it was almost identical. It was coming off of either 2 or 4. And
that's kind of odd.
I mean, the back end would just snap out from under him, and he'd spin. And his car was so tattered up by that third one. I didn't see him the rest of the race. I reckon he just went home.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jeez,
I don't know.
Said, I'll be leaving.
Yeah, I'm done.
That's pretty. Come on, Greg. I mean, they just took 100 horsepower away from these things. Can't hold on to it.
Well, no, and I think the big story of the day throughout the middle portion of the race, like the meat of the race,
meat of the sandwich.
Yeah, it's just the dominance of the Penske cars. And they were playing their restart games.
Yes, I saw some of that.
Where if they'd come out of the pits and maybe Brad was in first, Joey was in second, Brad would take the outside line, Joey would slow up, and they'd wrap around so they could keep on too. They were trying to hold back like Truex, Harvick, Kurt Busch, those guys who were challenging, and Gordon. And it worked for a while. They led total probably about 350, 375 of the 500 laps.
Because Joey Logano led 207 of the 500 and so odd laps.
Yeah, and Truex was up front. He was really fast throughout the race, but he had some trouble in some pit stops in the middle of the race.
Mm-hmm.
There was something that was going on with his left front. I think his air gun broke or something when they were putting the tire. I can't remember exactly, but it started him back, and he went from top 4, and then he was back in like 20th.
That also happened with Matt Kenseth as well. They reported that, Joe Gibbs is now famous with their, high tech, air guns, because you can hear them when we watch the race on TV. Yeah. Apparently the motor on it jammed, and that kind of set them back, which probably had a big thing to do with what happened later on.
Yeah.
But I did notice that a whole lot. Truex was a good short run car, and then you had the Penske guys good on the long run. Now I'm not a fan of the whole, hey, I'll let you in, let's keep these guys back. I don't like that, because to me that's team orders.
Yeah, that is team orders. And Jeff Burton, he liked it. The way he talked about it, he said, that's good teamwork. That's good teamwork. But it's like you said, Tom, that's team orders. And if NASCAR says no team orders, it's one thing if, Gordon's in the chase.
Yeah.
And so he's on the outside and Junior and Jimmy are on the inside or something. And then they cut him some slack, but it's like, hey, that's our teammate. That's not necessarily team orders. But when you construct something like, hey, I'm going to start on the outside so you don't go as fast, and when it's communicated between the teams like it was going, that's team orders. Because
the last time that happened, Napa left Michael Waltrip Racing, and Jeff Gordon was the 13th seed in the chase.
Yeah.
So, although if there was like a major caution, that kind of stuff to me would be majorly prohibited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get into some a late long green flag run.
Yeah, yeah. And you had your normal contenders up front. Logano was still rolling up front. You had Kenseth up front. And at that time, Gordon had kind of moved back a little bit, and him and Junior actually got into it a little bit. Junior wasn't cutting him much slack, got into the side of him. Gordon came over the radio. He was pretty pissed off. But there was a lot of jockeying. It seemed like Gordon, Jimmy, and Dale, they stayed pretty close most of the race. But around that point, and Kyle Busch was in the middle of trying to recover from an incident. In the turns right there next to the curb, some water had started to seep out from the grass, and he hit that and took a spin, and he thought he said he knocked the toe in on the car when it happened.
Yeah, he broke the spindle, and it was
But he recovered well. I mean, he got back up in the top 10 and was fast.
Yeah. Then we have one of the more major stories of this major story. Because of the whole what we would call constructed restarts by Team Penske, that caused Matt Kenseth to really kind of, he got poop, shitted out of a deal basically. And it caused him to go back, and they were kind of some rough racing, and caused a lot of damage to Matt's car. And Joey Logano's out there leading and keeping that peanut between his teeth and smiling. And,
well, and that was a big thing because they were fighting to do that, and Kenseth and Brad got it, and it was just a racing thing. And that's what Jeff Burton said, and it was. I mean, it was in the middle of restart games, but the way they got into each other, that was just Martinsville.
Yeah,
but it took out Kenseth. It took Brad out, Chaser. Took out Kurt Busch, who was just an innocent bystander, and it almost took out Gordon because it shot Busch to the inside wall off too, and then he had so much speed he hit it, and then he started going straight towards turn 3. Well, Gordon was up there because he was in front of the wreck, and he started to go into turn 3, and Kurt Busch was maybe 10 feet from just slamming into Gordon, and he almost slammed into David Reagan because he couldn't steer. He just went straight through turn 3 back into the wall. So it almost ruined Gordon's day.
Yeah. But eventually Matt Kenseth reminded Joey Logano that he had not forgotten about Kansas.
No.
And going into turn 1, I believe, flat out dumped him, much to the fans' enjoyment.
Oh, they were going. They were going crazy.
That sheriff's deputy was like, he's like getting a little bit concerned.
Well, and I was, I'd heard, or I'd gotten reports from Dale Jr.'s in-car radio that he was in 6th when he saw it when it happened, and he saw it happening, and all of a sudden he was just like, please. and then it happened, and then he was like, damn, that was a hard hit. He was like, I'm all about taking somebody out, but I don't know about that. So,
yeah, I'm all about dumping somebody, but I don't know about that.
Yeah. So he was kind of iffy on it too.
From what I saw, especially for a track like Martinsville, rubbing's racing. Now, if he'd have done this at Texas or some big speedway,
this was not rubbing though. This was not rubbing. I mean, this was like, hey, bam.
Yeah, I know, but I knew that after Kansas, Matt Kenseth was going to wait till the next round started.
Yeah,
before he could really screw up Joey Logano's day, and. I'm just going to err on the side of my opinion of, hey, you got to be careful what you do to other drivers and then not expect, or, not be surprised to expect things to happen. Of course, Kenseth getting knocked out of the last round. Now we move on. We have some, late race strategy going on. And we saw Austin Dillon get into David Reagan.
Yeah.
Just a racing deal.
Yeah, that's all it was.
And that set up a caution. They were just had 15 laps on their tires. And Steve Letarte, who I just want to go ahead and say this about Steve Letarte. I love Steve Letarte because from what I've heard so far on the NBC, you got Rick Allen losing his mind. Yeah, green flag down into turn 1. Yeah.
Sounds like he's throwing up almost.
Yeah.
When he's calling, he's like, green flag.
Yeah. And then you got Jeff Burton. I think that's a good idea. I mean, I'm just saying, when I used to drive, I think that's a great idea. Yeah. To take a guy out, not so great of an idea. But, I mean, if you can block, you can work with your teammates, I think that's a great idea. You got Steve Letarte, and he just sounds like, man, Steve Letarte just drops knowledge on people.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, they're talking about Gordon taking those tires after that little last caution there, and he was like, there's no way that's going to work. And anyway, I just want to say that about Steve Letarte. So we set up for a late race run to the finish. AJ Allmendinger Allmendinger.
Yeah, stayed out with Hamlin.
With Hamlin.
Yep.
And that they were just sitting ducks.
They were sitting ducks, but man, they gave it a harder run. Like
yeah.
They especially Allmendinger, man, because that was the second time during the race he had been up there. and he really gave it his all.
And you know why Allmendinger is great at this track, or decent at this track?
Why is that, Tom?
Because the corners are so tight. He said it reminds him of road racing, of getting a getting a good run down the straightaway, and then hitting the brakes real hard, and it reminds him of a road course. So that's why he does pretty well. And so did Juan Montoya, did all right there.
Yeah.
So then a late race caution, Sam Hornish Jr. I don't know what happened to bring up the
Gordon
caution.
had gotten the lead by that point with 7 to go. Hornish just kind of lost it getting in. He got into somebody. I can't remember who exactly. I get all those guys in the back mixed up because they're always just wrecking with each other. Bless their hearts.
At least Danica. I'm sure Danica's back there somewhere.
Danica had her multiple wrecks throughout the day. And, she tried to get back to David Reagan during the caution and hit him, and she missed and ran into the wall. Bless her heart. So
I can't believe. Bless her heart. Bless it.
Yeah, but so that was with 7 to go. That Hornish spun out, and they rolled it, and it pretty much ended up being a green-white checker. I think there were 3 to go. Yeah,
3 to go, but it was getting kind of dark.
It was
because we just changed time, jumped an hour back. And so the sun goes down about 5:30 at Martinsville. It was getting dark, and even Rick Allen said, we've got all our shaders on our cameras off. Let me just, they did a panorama shot, the lights that normally would look okay during the day, like Christmas lights at McAdenville.
It's like I said, they're going to have to get all the fans to get their phones out and turn their flashlights on and hold them up high in the air.
We won't even get into that right now because we gave Colton a hard time about his. But it would have worked today.
Yes.
It would have worked today.
Yes.
So Gordon was calling, hey, NASCAR, we need to end this race. Now, here's where I'm going to tell my story about this Earnhardt fan. I don't know if he was an Earnhardt senior or junior fan, but he was an Earnhardt fan, I could tell.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the race. He's sitting behind me. I'm downstairs in a room. I won't say where or what I do for a living. I was just in a room where there's a TV. And I was watching the race, and Rick Allen goes, I wonder what's going to happen when Jamie McMurray gets to his back bumper. And the guy behind me goes, well, hopefully dump his ass in the damn wall. And I turned around and thought, okay, all right. I'm eating my macaroni and cheese. I was eating mac and cheese. And Gordon started complaining it was dark. Guy goes, all right, here they go, trying to give him another one. I said, you know what, buddy? Trying to get under my skin. So I start pumping my fist harder and going, come on, Jeff. And Jeff wins and goes, hey, we're going to Homestead. And the guy goes, yeah, you're probably going to lose. And I said, well, at least he's better than that 88. He went outside, smoked a cigarette there at the area where I was at. I won't say where for privacy reasons, but that's that story, and I'm sticking to it. But we had a green-white-checkered. And, man, McMurray gave up a good fight. I will admit. McMurray scared me a little bit.
He was fast. I mean, there at the end, McMurray was fast. Junior was fast. Hamlin was fast. They were all fast. I don't know if Hamlin could have had anything for Gordon, but Gordon just ran a hell of a race.
Yes.
And it's especially there at the end because McMurray was charging, Earnhardt was charging, but he kept his distance. Especially even there coming off of 4, McMurray was right on him. I mean, if Jeff had gotten loose and tapped the wall or something, McMurray was right there.
Yeah.
But he kept his composure like a 4-time champion would.
Yeah.
And got the job done.
And added to that, when he won, I'm screaming, I'm excited. I mean, this is a dream come true. I wish I was there. I mean, I got a buddy that actually got to witness it. I'm jealous as hell about it. Mm-hmm. But I can live with knowing that I've never got to see Jeff Gordon. I mean, I'm a fan, but I'm not that crazy. Mm-hmm. Gonna cry at bed tonight. I never got to see Jeff win.
Because I know you were trying to go.
I was trying to go, but I didn't realize that it fell on the weekend that I worked. Mm-hmm. But I should have, because remember, Daddy had money.
Daddy did have money.
Daddy did have money on Friday night, so. I probably should have went, but I'm not. I don't feel like I've lost anything by not doing it. But did you see the post race celebration?
It was very intense. It was extensive. It was wild. You could see the emotion in Gordon's face. You could hear it in his voice.
He was very, very excited. He, waved to the crowd, pumped his fists, jumped into a mosh pit with his crew. Just absolutely. I mean, compared to most other guys, and I guess it's because of his age and the point he's at in his career that this really was special to him. Where, Joey Logano wins, he's like, the car was great all weekend and Todd was doing a great job. And it's just fast as soon as we unloaded and, stuff like that. But so you could see Gordon was very, then you had all the crowd just basically just engulfing that whole Victory Lane celebration. And I saw Jimmy and Casey give him a hug. I was emotional to a point.
Yeah.
Because, I've waited all year for this. Yeah. Had his kids there, Ingrid, his wife. Mm-hmm. And let's go ahead and listen to Jeff Gordon's post-race audio now.
And Marty Snyder.
I have been around for a lot of Jeff Gordon celebrations, a lot of these Victory Lane interviews, but I have never seen you celebrate like that.
Yeah! We're going to Homestead!
Most meaningful win of your career, Jeff?
It was a joke. I'm coming back next year.
You're going to unretire now?
No way, man. This is the sweetest, most amazing feeling. I'm so proud of this team. You want to talk about home back emotions? Right now, man, wow, we're going to Homestead, and I can't believe it. What an incredible battle that was. Hell, we just stuck with it all day long, and I was just trying to protect those rear tires. And, man, it just all fell in our lap. Obviously, the incident with the 22 and a couple of those other guys, certainly.
Comes Ella with a big hug for Daddy. Very nice.
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to Jamie McMurray. Raced me hard and clean there. And, oh, man, I tell you, it's never over here, though. It's just never over. What a battle. And what a team. I tell you what, people don't give this team enough credit. And we seized an opportunity right there. I don't think this opportunity would present itself the next couple weeks. But boy, it sure is nice to have taken advantage of this one, not have to worry about that.
You and I talked a lot over the summer, and you said at times this team was at each other's throats, and then things weren't going well. Did you really believe when all that was going on, this could happen?
Well, I believe that when we went through those moments and we came through it, and we're still talking to one another, and we're still smiling and communicating and trying to be better, that I knew that if we could get into this position, we could do something special. And man, this has turned into a fairy tale year. I can't believe it. I cannot believe Homestead's going to be an unreal weekend, and we're completely focused now. We talked about this in our meeting before the race, that if we can make it through today and win, all our focus is on that Homestead car. So I don't know who to thank first. Obviously, I need to thank AARP, Member Advantages, and oh my gosh, Pepsi, Exalta, Chevrolet, Panasonic, Valvoline. Gosh, I know I'm missing somebody, but I'm just overwhelmed right now. But most of all, just thanks to this team. Rick, thank you, buddy, for believing in me and let me make this my last year. And now we're going to Homestead. Woo!
Hey, real quick, I know you said you're holding back the emotions, but when the kids walk up, does that make it more meaningful that you can celebrate in your final year a win?
Oh my gosh, yes. It means so much to have them here. There's nothing sweeter than going to work. At least I kind of call it work, but and to have them and Ingrid here to experience these moments. I mean, that's what life's all about, and that's what I realized after being in the series for 23 years. It's these moments when you're sharing it with the people that work hard and the people that you care about the most. There's no greater feeling than that.
On the work side, maybe best of all, your final year, you're going to get to battle for a championship at Homestead.
Just like we did today, we're going to grind it out. We're going to give them something to think about. First, we're going to improve our race car a little bit for Homestead, but don't count us out. We proved that this entire chase, and we certainly proved that today. And this team is fired up. We got some momentum now.
Tell me on Friday, our team is scrappy. Well, now this scrappy little team that Jeff Gordon has led will race for a championship in his final season. Rick.
So again, I'm just super excited. I think his emotion is very reminiscent of his pre-NASCAR career, racing midgets and sprint cars, Silver Crown cars. Go on YouTube and look up any old Jeff Gordon footage, and he's just as enthusiastic about winning then than he is now, and I'm satisfied. I really, I'd love to see him win the championship, but at this point, I don't care now.
I'm just gonna say, and I was watching the race with Corey, and I just said, mark my words, because he was both of our preseason championship picks, and he's gonna have the opportunity. I can't remember if he was our midseason, but the beginning of the season, that's what we said, Gordon. And when we go into Homestead now, he's going to have the likes of Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Casey Kane pretty much testing for him. But he's going to have a rocket ship. And Mr. H is going to make sure he has the best car in that field. I'm telling you. He's won at Homestead. I mean, he could very well go take it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in a great spot.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's won twice at Homestead. Once. Just once.
So
and that surprised me when he did it then.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. We'll give a rundown. Jeff Gordon starting 5th, led only 35 laps. Jamie McMurray giving a good strong run, finishing 2nd. Denny Hamlin recovering greatly some of the damage that he experienced on his car. Dale Jr., the silent partner.
Yeah.
Other than his win last year at Martinsville, I remember him admitting that Martinsville was really not one of his favorite tracks.
Well,
or he would like to do there, but he just couldn't figure it out. But
I mean, he always runs good there. He just couldn't never quite get the win. But he finally broke through. But he's probably the number one spokesperson in NASCAR for more short tracks.
Oh yeah,
which I agree. But that's a whole different.
Story.
We'll continue with the rundown.
Kyle Busch finishing 5th, which he said earlier in the week, and I saw the post race interview. He said earlier in the week, he said, "Yeah, Jeff's a good racer, but I don't think he's strong enough to keep up with the 22 straight up." Went to the media center, and this is what I like about Kyle Busch. Not only did he congratulate Jeff Gordon in victory lane, Kyle Busch even admitted in the media center, he goes, "Yeah, I'm going to eat my own words. I said earlier in the week that I didn't think he was going to make it, but he said now he's a car that if we make it, I know that we're going to have to race."
Yeah.
So thank you, Kyle. Even though I didn't like you before, like you now. Martin Truex Jr. hanging tough in 6th place.
There's your boy in 7th.
Good thing he's not making it to Homestead. I can tell you that much. Ryan Newman finishing 7th. Kevin Harvick. Hey, guess what?
What?
There's a free bloomin' onion tomorrow because Kevin Harvick in the Outback Chevy finished in the top 10.
Well, I hate that I live like 25 miles away from an Outback.
Oh, okay. So
you can go get one.
But here's the thing: can you just get a bloomin' onion?
You have to go and have a meal there.
Okay. Well, I know that.
Oh, okay.
But can I just show up and be like, yeah, let's just get the blue?
Yeah. I don't think you can just go, hey, give me my onion. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. Okay. So, but just want to let everybody know that free bloomin' onion Mondays. Casey Kane finishing 9th. Tony Stewart, man, top 10.
There you go. Hey, Tony, he ran well there in the spring.
He ran well in the spring.
But,
hey, I look for Tony Stewart to have a similar type season next year that Jeff's having this year.
I think they're really going to put a lot into Tony. I don't think he's going to have this type of year next year. I hope he doesn't. That's just my I don't want. And I was telling Corey today, it's kind of sad the way Tony, and I don't want him to go out this bad. I would like for him. I'd love it if he could make the chase next year. That would be. I'd really like that.
Yeah. Allmendinger finishing 11th. Jimmy Johnson 12th. On down, chasers like Carl Edwards 14th. Let's see here. Brad Keselowski 32nd. But he was the victim of unforeseen circumstances by his own.
I mean, that was him and Matt, who Logano finishing 37th, Matt Kenseth 38th. So there's Danica in 40th.
Woohoo!
There's Boyer dead last, but I don't really remember how he got there.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing.
And two new drivers that I think it was their debuts.
Yes.
So Kyle Fowler and Ryan Preece. I really didn't know that.
Ryan Preece, I've heard his name elsewhere. I don't know if it was in a lower series or a different type of racing, but I have heard that. Well, I've vaguely remembered that. Let's go ahead and give a rundown of the final 8 in the chase. Jeff Gordon being first. Kyle Busch 8 points behind him in second. Martin Truex Jr. hanging tough in third. Kevin Harvick stirring up controversy. He's going to do it again this round.
I mean, hey, he got the controversy, but he's in. He's 10 points out. He's in a pretty decent spot.
He's sitting
considering.
fourth. Carl Edwards, fifth. Brad Keselowski, sixth. Kurt Busch, seventh. Joey Logano, eighth.
And that's in those three: Keselowski, Busch, and Logano, 34 and 36 and 38 points out. They're in trouble.
Yes,
Big time.
And this is interesting though, because Joey Logano, whatever. To me, he hasn't been consistently good. He's only been good this last part of the year.
He's kind of pulling the Kyle Busch midsummer thing that's going on.
So, number one, he's got pressure. Number two, anything could happen. So he could be out. I mean, we saw Matt Kenseth in 2013. He won a lot of races. There wasn't a knockout format then, but last year we saw Brad Keselowski have a good year. Got knocked out of the final round.
No. In this chase format, nobody is safe unless you get that win. Gordon's safe.
Yes,
but you saw it in the first round. Jimmy not safe, and as strong as Kenseth and Earnhardt had been, they weren't safe. They had a bad race and they were fighting from behind.
But have you noticed though? People have been talking about. I know we're talking a lot about Jeff Gordon here. They saying that Jeff is peaking perfectly. Mm-hmm. We saw Jimmy Johnson early, and now he's just kind of...
Yeah, he peaked very early, and he's just been downhill.
And then we saw Junior spring, summer, especially at Daytona.
Yeah, and then he plummeted.
It just kind of plummeted. So we're seeing people peak at different times. Matt Kenseth, the whole Gibbs group.
Yeah, at the end of the summer into the beginning of fall, and now it's pretty much Logano.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Penske, but
I mean, I'm not saying that they're slumping, but to me, but what happened to both cars today is enough of a hurt.
I mean, it shows that if you don't have your tires under you and you're focused, and you can lead the whole damn race. But if something like this happens, or you make somebody mad if you don't. But see, that's the thing. Logano, okay, he was right in his interview when he said that the deal with him and Kenseth at Kansas, and then the deal that happened today, two different things. They were racing for a win, close, and this was Kenseth coming out straight out, wrecked car. He was done for the day, so he dumped him, took him out. But I think people are going to remember this when you could have given that little inch of room. And at the time, he didn't know. Logano didn't know he was going to, Logano was safe.
Yeah.
He could have given room. Just an inch. Look, Kenseth would have been in. This wouldn't have happened today. Logano, with all due respect to Gordon, Logano would have won this race.
Yeah.
He had the best car. Yeah. And then he would be at Homestead. So was getting that second win at Kansas worth getting dumped today? That's what you got to think about. Was that worth it?
Yeah.
When you were already in from your win at Charlotte.
Yeah. So that's Pandora's box. We could go into that forever. So we're going to preview the AAA Texas 500 at Texas.
I like AAA. I've got AAA.
I feel like AAA has sponsored like at least 12 races already this year.
They've sponsored, I think this is their third race of sponsor, but
I think they do one at Dover, don't they?
Yeah, good service. They helped me out the last when my transmission went out on my truck a couple weeks back.
Now, is it insurance?
Not really. Now, if you can get discounts on car rentals, you can get discounts on repairs if you go to one of the AAA specific repair shops. Mm-hmm. And then I'm a gold member actually. And then you get free towing up to a certain amount of miles, and they'll tow wherever you need it to go. I've got it where they'll tow it up to 100 miles before they start charging.
Wow.
So they towed it to the shop of my choice free of charge.
Wow. So
really good service, and they called me like 8 times to see if I was happy with my service. And I'm starting to get tired of these calls, but
I'm starting to get pissed off.
Yeah.
But I might have to check into that.
Yeah, it's good. And it's fairly budget friendly.
Okay, good. I'm all about budget friendly. Texas is now getting to the point where it is one of my favorite mile and a halves, because at first it was kind of new and green, but now we got some beat up old asphalt and fast racetrack. Yeah. I call it Charlotte Junior, or Charlotte, because to me it's a mixture between Charlotte and Atlanta.
Yeah, they're all about the same. Even though Charlotte's the best.
Charlotte is the best because it's kind of...
That's what they're all about. about the same, not the same.
Yeah, they're all about the same, but I think Texas combines both of
Atlanta's
Texas
the fastest.
Yeah.
I think Charlotte's the trickiest, and Texas is the most boring.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go ahead and everything's bigger in Texas. 80 Gossage down there.
I'm pissed that they had to put a bigger screen there.
I mean, we had Charlotte Motor Speedway. We had the world's biggest HD TV.
Yeah, we were like, "Hey, Dallas Cowboys."
Yeah, give them the middle finger.
But now, Bruton had to go down there with Eddie, and then they had to build a bigger one.
Forget Texas. But I think it'd be a good. Well, let's be honest. It's going to be a long green flag kind of race.
Yeah. Yeah, there might not be one caution.
We saw that in the spring. Because of the aero package, I think it's going to be boring.
Which aero package are they running?
Same one that they started with, yeah. Okay. Just because continuity and stuff like that. So who won the spring? I can't even remember.
Did you fall asleep on us, Tom?
Yes.
It was Jimmy.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Jimmy. So Corey got that pick right. He picked Jimmy.
Let's look at some of the other ones. Carl Edwards won, or Jimmy won Atlanta. Very similar track.
And then Carl won Charlotte. And then, and then of course Joey won in the chase at Charlotte.
That doesn't matter though.
Okay.
So here's my prediction, because it happened last year. Remember?
Absolutely.
I think. Well, we'll wait for that, because that's not that part of the segment yet. But Texas gonna be fun, because it puts pressure on Phoenix. I think things are gonna start getting a little heartbreaking and nasty here.
Yeah, it's going to get dicey. Very dicey. I mean, Texas, I'm not usually looking forward to Texas, but I think there's going to be a lot going on. I would almost dare say a carbon copy of last year, with some fighting, scuffling at the end.
Well, just think about some of the atmosphere that Eddie Gossage and the team have made up. When Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart were fighting for the championship in 2011, he built them both boxing locker rooms in the garage area, and had robes made for them and boxing gloves to show that this is a knockout, drag-out fight. So I think that kind of atmosphere has bred itself in because of the new chase format and things like that.
If the listeners could see, I just rolled my eyes.
Yes, you did. So that leads us on to our fantasy picks, because I was about to give away my fantasy pick.
Okay.
But now I don't have to pick Jeff Gordon anymore. So
who do you think's really going to win the race?
Who do I really think is going to win the race? I think it's going to be a surprise, a non-chaser. He was good there in the spring. He's good there last fall. Mr. Jimmy Johnson.
Oh, Jimmy.
I'm actually pulling for Jimmy now. Like, yeah, Jimmy! keep them Penske boys out of the Homestead.
Well, unfortunately, as much as he gets on my nerves at times, most of the time. And I've been waffling between two people. One guy who runs fast every week, and he's up front, and Kevin Harvick. But
yes,
how can you go against a boy who won there last year?
A boy
who has won 3 of the last 4 races. Mm-hmm. He is fast. Now he is desperate. As long as he can stay away from Matt Kenseth and outrun him, I think Joey Logano is going to win 4 out of 5.
Okay.
And then that leaves Corey with, he gave me his 3. We picked 2 of his 3. So
it don't matter. He's in the lead anyway.
Yeah, so he's going to be going with Brad.
Okay.
Which is not a bad pick.
Not a bad pick, but
I would have thought maybe Harvick, but
what about this possibility? What if, as Keselowski showed us last year that he's a jerk, what if he dumps his own teammate to ensure that he gets to Homestead?
I don't think he would.
Just think about it.
I'm thinking about it. I don't think it'll happen.
You don't think it'll happen?
If it did, that would be the sissiest fight in the world. I don't know.
Yeah, a bunch of slaps going on.
He would knock the peanut out from Joey's teeth.
Because he always looks like he's trying to hold one between his teeth. Okay, so we got our fantasy picks down. Let's move on to our Green-White-Checkered. Jeff Gordon's awesome.
Okay, well, that kind of leads us into our green flag question, Tom. Okay, I'm gonna need you to focus, Tom.
Okay.
From a non-biased point of view. So,
Oh, Jesus.
So put on your I'm a podcaster hat, not a Jeff Gordon fan hat.
God.
Okay, and talk about the significance of this win for the sport today.
Okay. To be honest with you, I think it's big on a lot of levels. Mm-hmm. As we saw in the fans' reaction and the industry's reaction.
Yeah,
it's big because NASCAR now knows it's one of its biggest names in history is going to the final round in Homestead. It's big for NASCAR because Jeff Gordon brought I wouldn't necessarily say he brought people like me into the sport, but if it wasn't for him, probably not. There are many people now that I know that pull for Gordon. Used to be the other way around when I was younger.
Yeah.
To know those people are young and are sad at his going and leaving, and but to see him succeed today gives us all Gordon fans a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
And maybe that reinvigorates us to see what's next.
Yeah.
Because right there for a while, I was starting to give up. I don't think I'll watch racing. So I think it's big for that. Those fans that are maybe coming onto the sport, maybe realizing, hey, this guy apparently good. I mean, who doesn't know Jeff Gordon?
Yeah.
He brings a lot of attention, much needed attention to the sport.
Yeah.
So this win, and I'm not saying it's if it wasn't him, I just think today just helped, just really gave NASCAR made NASCAR go, okay, good. This was good.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. Because next year is going to be a big year too.
Yeah.
And I think that this has just helped a transition. It's like Jeff's going to pass the torch eventually to somebody, and he's doing it in a way that maybe he can't see or other people.
Will he be passing the torch to somebody who's not currently racing full time, or do you think he'll pass it to somebody who's full time right now?
Here's the way when I think about torch passing in NASCAR. The torch, when somebody passes it, they just throw it up in the air, and someone has to go get it. Mm-hmm. I don't really necessarily view it as like we're handing off to somebody.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just certain circumstances.
I know it's not necessarily the most popular thing for me to say, but the way he's been coming up the last 2 or 3 years and the way he's become so clutch, I mean, that torch may be going to Joey Logano. I mean, winning 6 races and 3 in the chase right now, and he could have won today easily.
Yeah.
That torch may be going to a guy like him, or it could be coming to somebody like Chase who's going to take his ride over. And I think Gordon winning today, I think it's important. It's really important for him and his fans, obviously, but for the sport, for him to be at Homestead running. Because if you look at your 3 most popular drivers, Dale Earnhardt Jr., he got knocked out on a controversial, ending to Talladega in Earnhardt country.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you have Tony Stewart, who's just not. He's been a non-factor all year. Mm-hmm. So I feel like those 2 with Gordon, those are your 3 big popularity staples. And I think if Gordon hadn't made it, that's your 3 big guys that most of the fans center around not being in it.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for the sport and the spectatorship of people outside of NASCAR that want to tune in. If they know Gordon's his last race, he could win his 5th championship, and
literally go out on top.
Say he qualifies on the pole or something. Imagine what that's going to do. I mean, I think viewership at this Homestead race is going to be astronomical compared to past years.
And I hope and pray to the racing. I don't pray to the racing gods. Let's just get that straight, Lord. Thank you. But if there are some out there, I think they could work their magic in that I haven't paid attention to the weather. I need to ask Larry Mack, the great weatherman, because that's his hobby.
Yeah, he trends.
But we're going through a warm spell here in the south. The jet stream is kind of going over us right now, blocking all that crap up north. We've been getting a lot of moisture from the south, all this rain. What if on Sunday, come Homestead, sunny Florida, You have a lot of the East Coast, a lot of the country snowed in.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do on a Sunday afternoon? Like
Yeah.
Darrell Waltrip said, watch television.
Yeah.
And it would be a perfect storm. It might be the thing that NASCAR needs to get a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our white flag question.
White flag question. This is going to be a little bit of a spotlight into next season on the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. Something that you, the listeners, can look forward to. But Tom, you're going to give our first attaboy for this race. Okay, if you could pick one driver that you can give an attaboy to based on his finish and performance, that maybe it was a big day for him, and this is something we're going to try and maybe implement next season.
Okay, the attaboy?
Yeah, who's your attaboy for the day?
For today, I'm going to say Martin Truex Jr.
Truex, why?
Because there's not been one thing that he has said or done in his entire career, especially as a new upcoming driver, that I've said, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Martin Truex is I mean, he's the most, to me, he's very humble. Because he was literally, before Dale Jr. picked him up, he was on his dad's fishing boat fishing for seafood up in wherever, New England. I forget where he's from, Connecticut or
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Yep.
I thought he was from Delaware or Maryland.
No, it was like New Hampshire-ish.
Okay, Vermont. I don't know.
Yeah.
Marietta, New Jersey.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so just to see him throughout his entire career, and because of really circumstances that were not of his doing, he lands a C grade ride basically, and he won, and he's been running great.
Yep.
And to me, that doesn't take a good car, a good crew chief, or anything. That takes a good driver.
Because I mean, he was kind of in the catbird seat coming in because he was picked up by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and DEI. He won a Busch championship, two Busch championships in the 8 car. Then he comes up in the 1 car with Jr. as his teammate at DEI, and then DEI implodes.
Yeah.
So that was DEI was, I mean, they were one of the top teams, and he's like, crap, what am I going to do? Then he stays with Earnhardt Ganassi. It's not working out. Goes over to Michael Waltrip Racing. He's looking good there for a while, but then they end their contract, and he goes over with the 78 team. And it just, aside, if you're just talking, from my heart, I want Gordon to win, but if for some reason Gordon does not win at Homestead, say he blows a motor or something, and Truex is there, I would love for Truex, the guy who worked on the fishing boat, and he's in a single car team with Barney Visser and Furniture Row.
You know how huge that would be?
That would be to beat all these teams, to beat Hendrick and Gibbs and Stuart Haas and those teams for a championship. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
So that's.
But I like that. I like that segment.
Yeah,
I think that's something we could do because every week we'll have a new one.
And we'll go around and everybody will have their attaboy, and my attaboy for today is Jamie McMurray. Okay. I waffle between him and Tony, but man, for that one team to go up and be as fast as they were, to challenge Gordon, to run second, to stay up there all day. That's a great run for them.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah.
So let's. I'll give my thumbs up on that.
Okay. Well, hopefully the listeners like it. So our checkered flag question, we're going to look at the chase grid. We're going to go back to that.
Okay.
So you have, barring we'll keep Carl Edwards out of it. He's 7 out of the cut line, so he's 7 behind Harvick.
Yeah.
But let's just go down to the bottom feeders right now. Keselowski, who is 24 out of 4th, Kurt Busch, who's 26, and Joey Logano, who's 28. However you want to go about it, who has the best chance of making it, or who's the most in trouble? Whichever of those three, because you got Keselowski, Kurt Busch, and Logano. I mean, who's breathing the heaviest right now? Who's losing the most sleep?
I'm gonna say right now. Because I think his age has something to do with it, and I kind of don't like him now. I'm going to say Joey Logano.
Okay.
Because, again, they haven't shown me, especially this season, consistent goodness.
Yeah.
Last year, oh my God. Very similar situation,
Yeah.
but they were absolutely, on fire. But right now, him sitting last and knowing that the other guys know that, and they're going to be like hungry hounds.
They're going to want to keep him out because
yes.
he's been he hasn't been as consistent, but he's on fire right now.
Yes,
and he could have 4 in a row right now, and he could be up there in first.
Yeah,
but the thing is I see where you're going with that, but I don't think he's the most in trouble right now because, okay, you look at the 2 remaining races, you got Phoenix. You might as well go on ahead and put Harvick's name on that trophy because he's won 3 or 4 in a row there. Some ridiculous number. He'll probably win there. Mm-hmm. Texas, I mean, Joey's been so fast at those type tracks. He's won there. So is Brad. I think Kurt Busch is the one who has the least chance to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Harvick's going to win at Phoenix, and I think either Joey or Brad out of those 3 have the best chance, especially Joey. So I think Kurt Busch is in trouble because Kurt Busch has not been just lighting the world on fire with wins. He's been knocking people out with top 5s and top 10s. And right now, being 26 points out of 4th, a top 10 and a top 5 is not going to do it unless he gets a lot of help.
Yeah.
But he needs to win a race.
Yeah.
And right now, with these 2 tracks coming up, you've kind of already got your front runners who are going to be up there contending, the favorites.
I think Phoenix will be Kurt's next best chance.
Yeah, it has to be. There's only 2 races.
I know.
But I know I'm being a smart aleck. But I mean, he's going to have to beat Harvick. Everybody's going to have to beat Harvick at Phoenix. And I know they're teammates, but that's like, saying like Casey and Junior have to beat Jeff and Jimmy at Martinsville and crap. And that rarely happens. Or at Dover. It's like trying to beat Jimmy at Dover. It's like, Jimmy's good, but.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, I'm on cloud 9 right now. Daddy's got some more money. Well, he's got some money.
Yeah.
Things have been going great this week. And this just capped off a great week. And I want to say, as Tom Clark, the host of the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report, that yes, being biased, my opinion, which I think is a fact because I'm biased, Jeff Gordon's the greatest driver I have ever personally followed in my life. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about of all time, that's a different story.
A different story, but I think in our Jeff Gordon listeners out there, I think will enjoy our podcast background. It's a little change up, just in honor of
Jeff Gordon
and
of
his 93rd win.
93rd win. I mean, that's freaking amazing.
It's very impressive.
It was just awe for me today, and I'm just so in love right now. I'd love to be Jeff Gordon's butler. So, anyway, on that note, we're going to end this edition of the Tom Clark Weekly Speed Report. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at TCW Speed Report. Email your questions to tcwspeedreport@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook, iTunes, and SoundCloud. This is your host, Tom Clark, signing off.